What's an effective way of understanding the learning needs? You mentioned kind of learning needs analysis, but how does that kind of manifest itself?
I think there's an opportunity wherever possible to really immerse yourself. So if I was a consultant going in, so you're not there living and breathing it, to be able to go in, to have the opportunity through focus forums, not just necessarily a list of people that have been asked, to really get a sense of what that focus is for the organization, whilst also I was just thinking as I was talking there, with a recent program, having access to latest employee engagement surveys, having access from a strategy, looking at the branding voice as well, and all of these things I think really help you to immerse, to make something that is going to not just feel but sound like something that an organization is going to buy into as well. And that's different every time. And even when we might have some tried and tested concepts that we will use, it's how we actually wrap that up in an organizational language and purpose to really help that stickiness.
And when you're looking at that kind of quantitative and qualitative data, Emma, what kind of things are you looking out for? Because, sometimes, especially if you're not familiar with using a lot of data on a day-to-day basis to design your learning experiences, it can sometimes be overwhelming. And so, where do you start? What are the things to look out for when you're gathering this quantitative and qualitative data?
So the starting point I always do is, rather than doing the gap needs analysis, I do the strengths. What are the strengths of this organization? What do they do well? What are the people saying that they love about something? And really looking for that strength that then fuels that opportunity to look at from a gap needs analysis. And I know compared to maybe many colleagues, that's the opposite. And I feel we're missing a trick, because there was a great study done by a change organization, a really quite substantial one, that said those organizations that focus on strengths are 6 times more likely to help to support behavioral change. So let's know what we're doing really well. Let's know what's important to us. And then let's use that to look at, so where are the areas of focus? Where are maybe some of those gaps that we really want to help to support ourselves to move up? But we're doing so from a position of strength, rather than when sometimes people come in and think, oh no, I've just got to do more. Quite often that doing more might be more focused on the stuff that we do really well.
Right. So getting better at what you already do fairly well. And so you've gathered the data, you find out where the gaps are. Now you need to convert this into a learning experience that's actually going to change behavior. Where do you start?
I know, and this is like the magic bit, because sometimes you can imagine, I've got my little office here, but I have piles of paper and books and games and activities, and it's trying to not let my excitement and passion get away with me too much. I use a process around leaning in. So whenever using a design, it is, how am I getting the learners to lean in? And that may well be, depending on whether it's a virtual experience, a face-to-face, whether it's self-service, that amount of time will vary. Right. But we should be creating a design that means I am interacting with the learning. So whether that is maybe watching a video, maybe that's using chat function, maybe that's a breakout session. It's continually thinking around that interaction. And as a rule of thumb, with any program that I'm doing, whether that is the face-to-face or virtual world, that leaning in needs to happen within the first 10 minutes. It's not about us, maybe as a facilitator or even as a provider of learning. It's what can we do to create that learner to almost immediately go, this feels different. And as mentioned, that's not just with the workshop interaction, that's also the pre-bit. So what's the first bit of information that the individual will get, whether it's an invite, whether it's just the wording on a learning platform? If we make more focus to really help that to be enticing, to be stretching, to start to challenge and disrupt thought, we're more likely to create that buy-in from an early stage.